Hello, hello. This is Cristina.
And Carmen.
And this is A Spooky Tales, a podcast for all things as spooky myths, legends, haunted places, the paranormal in Latin America, also true crime. And we're back to normal today. We have two topics, one paranormal, one true crime. It is still a shorter episode though. So yeah, now, before we get into our topics, we have a listener story. And if you have a story for us, you can email us spookytales@gmail.com. You can submit it on our Discord. You can leave it as a comment on any of the socials. Maybe not TikTok because it's dying. I don't know. But yeah, you can do all those things. You can call the spooky hotline. So yeah, Carmen, are you ready to read this listener story?
I am. So this is from Javi. According to legend, Hickory Pass, which connects Watsonville, California to Gilroy, California, is haunted. People usually see the ghost of a woman in a red dress.
She's not wearing white.
I know, but if they're not wearing white, they're always wearing red.
That's true. That's the other color.
But this story is a little different. I once picked up a passenger from Watsonville and gave him a ride all the way to Mount Madonna, where that one restaurant is at the very top.
That one, yeah.
Is that?
Mount Madonna, not the very top.
Right, where the restaurant's at.
Yeah.
Before I dropped him off, I asked him, where do you live? And he told me, here at the back of the restaurant, there's some homes. Once he got off, I was getting another request for a ride. In that quick 3 seconds it took me, he vanished. And I don't know where he left so quick. I turned on my high beams and he wasn't there anymore. So I'm not sure if it was a real person or a ghost.
Ghost.
I mean, 3 seconds is not long enough to get anywhere, so...
No, so yeah, I'm happy. That was a ghost.
Yeah, Javi, sorry to say.
Yeah, I was about to say sorry to say. But you saw a ghost, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And for the paranormal topic, we translated our mom stories from our failed Spanish episode, which I was so sad about that.
We had such a good time recording.
Yeah. We looked so cute. There was video.
Yeah.
Milo was with us the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was, I was so sad. But we translated those stories and we're now reading them in English.
Here they are. Our mom's abuelitos used to live in an apartment building in Guadalajara. And one of the apartments in that building was haunted by a young woman. At least that's what everyone else said. The story everyone was told is that when the apartment buildings were under construction, a woman died in one of them. And once the apartments were done and people were living there, they could hear her cries during the night. Our mom never heard her, luckily, but almost everyone else did, especially her grandparents, because the apartment where the woman died was right in front of them, in front of theirs. And for some reason, her grandparents could not get away from the ghosts because the next place they lived was also haunted. And this was another part of Guadalajara. This was a house. It had a patio just past the kitchen. And this house was longer than it was wider. I think those houses have a name, but I don't know the name.
Yeah, so there's like a style and like house people will know.
They'll know. Just one of those long houses, like a long rectangle, if you will. And the part with the patio was in the dark. In that patio, they had a hammock between some orange trees. And mi Bella, that's what we call our great grandma, loved that hammock. She used it all the time, especially when it was super hot. So during one of these super hot nights, she went out there. And at this point, it was around midnight. She went out back and got in the hammock and fell asleep. Sometime later, everyone else in the house woke up to hear her screaming in the middle of the road in front of the house. She had drag marks on her and scratches. And when she finally calmed down, she was able to tell them what happened. So for some time, Mi Bella had been seeing two shadows standing near her hammock. And of course, it shook her.
Not enough to stop using the hammock, though.
Right. Like, I would have never gone. The minute I would have seen the shadows, I would stay my ass inside. But Mi Bella was a brave woman.
She was.
Yeah. And so that didn't stop her from using her hammock. But then after the first 2 or 3 times, the shadows became clear apparitions of 2 women she knew back in a rancho in Zacatecas.
And so she knew them from Zacatecas, and they must have like hated her so much that
they traveled. Their spirits in the afterlife traveled from Zacatecas to Guadalajara to haunt her.
Yep.
And one of them was named Aurelia. Allegedly, Aurelia wanted to be with Mi Bella's husband.
Aurelia.
And so she began to see these 2 women and they would get closer to her. And when they did, Mi Bella would faint. She was brave, but not that brave. This happened a few times, but on that night, her son found her in the middle of the road. And that was the first time that something like that had happened. So things had escalated. As she was sleeping, she felt cold hands grab onto her, and she was screaming as she was being dragged outside. And this was a long way. It was 20
feet. To be
feet.
dragged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at least 20 feet from the patio to outside. And she had to be dragged through a hallway that connected their house to another house. Needless to say, she was shook. And speaking of that shared hallway and the other house, that's another place that was said to be haunted.
Wow.
And this story is more sad. In that house, people would see the ghost of a woman named Doña Margarita. And apparently our family in Guadalajara could just not get away from the paranormal. You already heard our mom's story, which happened in basically a parking lot that we call La Pensión. La Pensión is still there, but we don't know where it's at anymore. Like, we forgot.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if these are still there, but in front of La Pensión, when our mom was a kid, there used to be a vecindad, like an apartment building. And this is where some of our cousins' family used to live, on their dad's side. Small world. Anyway, in this building, in the very back of this vecindad, no one was allowed to go back there. There was a man named Don Lauro who was said to be a brujo, and he told all the kids to never go back there.
And listen, when a alleged brujo tells you not to do something, you listen.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
One day, our Tío Osvaldo didn't listen. So all the kids were playing hide and seek, and our mom was excluded. They were kind of bullying her. Back then, she was sad about being excluded, but after what happened, she was happy to have been left out. So all the kids except our mom were playing hide and seek. And our Tío Osvaldo had the great idea to go back there, the place the brujo said to never go, to hide. Because to him, it was the best hiding spot. And so off he went. And he ran back there. And after what seemed like forever, he was like, no one's coming to find me. Because no one wanted to go over there.
Right.
But he stayed there, hidden, determined to win. So he was crouched down behind some wall or something. It was dark. He was crouching when he heard footsteps. And he's like, dang, they found me. And he was like, oh no, they found me. But then when he heard the footsteps coming closer, he realized it was not one of his friends. Because along with the footsteps, he heard what sounded like a cane.
Oh, and that's a distinct sound right there.
Yeah. He closed his eyes harder, now saying, no, no, no. But the footsteps and the cane got closer and closer. He held his breath when he felt a cold, cold hand on his shoulder. Then he opened his eyes and turned around and looked up behind him and fainted. So he stayed there, fainted, passed out on the floor, on his knees at Walmart. In la vecindad, in the
yes, of course.
hallway, whatever, at the end of the vecindad. And about 15 minutes passed by. He finally woke up. He ran outside and everyone was looking for him at that point. He was pale and he could barely talk. And he finally told them that he saw an old lady. An old lady was the one that touched him. And Don Lauro was like, well, didn't I tell you not to go back there? Because there was 2 old lady ghosts that haunted back there and they never left that area. Kind of like they were confined to it. So as long as you didn't go back there, you're fine.
Right. Oh my God. And we said it in the episode in Spanish, but our Mi Bella used to tell everyone like, oh, you better hurry up or you're going to see the the ghost. So.
And speaking of Don Lauro, he had a wife. Her name was Doña Toña. And Doña Toña she was cheating on Don Lauro with Don Miguelito. They had a bunch of kids together, her and Don Lauro, and then she got pregnant.
With Don Miguelito's baby or Don Lauro?
Could have been either one. Tragically, when she gave birth to the baby, she passed away.
Oh.
She left a lot of kids behind. You know, they had them back to back. So the oldest was like 12 and then down there until the newborn. The next youngest son from the newborn was around 2. And a bit after Doña Toña passed away, the 2-year-old would say, es mamá. It's mom. Especially when he was in the back feeding like chickens. And the toddler was saying that he saw her, but everyone would also hear what sounded like her footsteps. She wore chanclas and had a distinct way of walking, so they just knew it was her when they heard the footsteps. And the footsteps would go from her bedroom down the hall to the kitchen and then to the back with the chickens. So they kind of like, well, that was her everyday routine. So they knew it was her.
It could be no one else.
Right. And the boy kept saying that his mom fed the chickens with him. And the wildest thing was when the 2-year-old was a little older and he came back home one day with wrappers in his pocket. And he told everyone that his mom had given him candy. And he was eating the candy. He had the wrappers with him. And
like it was in his hands. Yeah.
Right.
He had the evidence.
And everyone's like, well, who else would have given him that?
Man.
And eventually the family all moved from that building. So they say Doña Toña's ghost is still there making that same walk, the same routine.
Oh, I wonder what's there now.
I don't know.
Because I do not think it's these apartment buildings anymore.
No, I remember our mom saying that it wasn't apartment building anymore.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. There's so many similar stories out there too of like something tragic happening to like a parent. It's usually the mom. And then like the kid will have like a candy wrapper or something that the mom gave her. So wild.
And for our last story, we're circling back to Mi Bela's place. Well, around there. This one happened to our mom and our tia Lourdes. So around the corner from where Mi Bela lived, a woman named Inés sold remedies for when you have a cold, but also gorditas.
Sorry, those are two different things.
She was a hustler. She had 2 kids to raise, and she was taking care of her own sick elderly tia. So, she had to do what she had to do, including gorditas. So our mom and our tia went for the gorditas since Inés was closer to them than this other lady where they like to get gorditas from. And they walked up, and Inés had a setup where in the entrance to her place, she had her comal and then these cement seats where you could sit, kind of like a stump, like a cement stump, a big cement stump.
Yes.
And so on this day, for whatever reason, Inés had to leave for a second, maybe to go to the bathroom or something. So she left the gorditas on the comal since it took a while to cook anyway. Inés walked away, and from the other side, our mom and tia were sitting on the cement seats just chatting when they saw Inés' tia come out from one of the rooms. And they were like, oh my God, how are you, señora? We're so glad you're doing better. It's good to see you up and about, because they knew she had been sick. And the lady was like, oh yeah, I'm doing so much better. I've been able to walk around, catch up with everyone.
Good for her.
Right? And she was wearing her brand new slippers, a brand new robe, and she seemed happy.
Oh my God. I was going to say that.
Sorry.
Estaba estrenando. She was sporting.
Yes.
This new clothes, slippers.
So then she, after chatting for a bit, maybe like 15, 30 minutes? I don't remember.
Less.
Oh, like 10 minutes maybe then?
At most 10, but probably less.
Like 5 to 10 minutes. So after chatting for about 5 to 10 minutes, she told our mom and her tia that she was going to go back to bed for a bit, but that it was so nice to see them. And so she left. Then Inés came back. And so our mom and her tia are like, oh, hey, it was so nice to see your tia up and about. She looks so much better. And Inés was like, excuse me, what do you mean? She was shocked. And she was like, it's not possible for her to have been up and about. She is bedridden. And our mom's like, no, we definitely saw her. We definitely chatted with her. And Inés was like, I'll show you that she's bedridden. The doctor said these are her last days. And so
can you imagine that?
No, I would faint right then and there. So Inés took our mom and her tia to her tia's room, and sure enough, she was laying there.
Wild.
Sleeping, unaware.
Hands like on her side,
eyes were closed.
palms facing up, eyes closed. Straight up like sleeping. Like she hadn't gotten up in a while.
And so then Inés showed them her pink slippers and the robe, because she's like, oh, I bought them for her, but she hasn't even got a chance to wear them. They were still in the box and everything.
The ones they saw her wearing.
Yeah.
Wild.
And they're like, no, we saw her. They were shocked. Inés told them that other people had told her they saw her tia walking around, especially near the school, but that their story was the one that was the most impactful. And our mom and her tia grabbed their gorditas and booked it. And when they got around the corner, they sat on some random another cement bench.
A different one, yeah.
A different one, far away.
Far away from Inés.
They were just shocked. They couldn't even talk. And a few days later, they heard that Inés's tía passed away. And they never did go back there to make gorditas.
The gorditas were not worth it.
They're like, nope. Maybe she'll want to talk to us again.
Yeah. They saw her once. They're not trying to see her again.
Once was enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, those were some of our mom's ghost stories from Guadalajara.
Wow. Well, we'll take an ad break here and then we'll come back with the true crime case. And we're back. And this case, I wanted to find something light. And you know what? I did, because sometimes I say that and then it's like the most depressing story ever. And I'm like, wow, what the fuck? But no, this is the Mexico City Museum Heist.
Ooh.
Yes. So on the morning of December 25th, 1985, Mexico woke to the news that the robbery of the century had just taken place in their very own National Museum of Anthropology. And that's today's topic.
Wow. We've never done a heist.
No. And sadly, there's not a ton of information on it. So it's kind of on the shorter end, but still. So first, just a little bit about the National Museum of Anthropology. It is the largest and most visited museum in Mexico. And like we said, it's in Mexico City between Paseo de la Reforma and Mahatma Gandhi Street in Chapultepec Park. The museum opened in 1964 and since then has become a national treasure. The museum has 23 rooms for exhibits and it covers an area of 857,890 square meters. There's also a courtyard with a big pond. The halls are ringed by gardens. It's beautiful. And among these 23 exhibits, you can find the Stone of the Sun, La Piedra del Sol. And I'm sure we've all seen this. I'll put a picture of it. But like once you see it, you know what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a Mexica sculpture that dates back to 1502. Although the exact date of its creation is not known. You'll also find the giant stone heads of the Olmecs. I know we've all seen these.
Yeah.
These were the ones in the museum were found in the jungles of Tabasco and Veracruz. There's so many sacred pre-Columbian artifacts found in the permanent exhibitions too, because there's also rotating exhibitions. But like in these permanent ones, you can find the disc of Mictlantecutli, skulls, masks and replicas of codexes. There's also a replica of the feather headdress of Moctezuma II, which famously is in a British museum, and they can't transport it because something will happen to it. But everyone's like, return that shit to Mexico.
And you keep the replica.
Yeah, exactly. Make a swap here. Yeah, but you'll find that there. In short, the museum is a very special place, and the robbery shocked so many people. So, what happened? Two friends and veterinary students at UNAM planned the heist. They were Carlos Perches Treviño and Ramon Sardina Garcia.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Both from middle-class families, both with no criminal records. Apparently, they shared a fascination and admiration for archaeology and pre-Hispanic art, and maybe that's what brought them together. But the pair of friends spent 6 months observing the routines of the security guards at the museum, and then they made their plan. They visited at least 50 times. And in these 50 visits, they took pictures, they made sketches, they learned the value of certain pieces. And for their heist, they had initially chosen New Year's Day, but they changed that date because they learned that the museum was planning to repair its air conditioning system on Christmas Eve. And they were like, yep, we're doing it on Christmas Eve. And so another factor to that date is that they thought surveillance would be at its lowest. And they were right, because all the security guards were in the same part of the museum drinking and celebrating.
Oh my God. I mean, that makes sense.
It's Nochebuena.
Eve after all.
Yeah. So while the security guards partied and drank on Christmas Eve, Carlos and Ramon spent the holiday with their families. Then at some point they left. They changed into black clothes, classic heist outfit, and they met up. They jumped the fence into Paseo de la Reforma, and around 1 a.m., they entered the museum through the air conditioning ducts. And because they went through the air conditioning ducts, the alarm system did not go off. And again, the security guards were busy partying instead of patrolling every 2 hours. And so these two, they were able to take their time. And until 4 a.m. in the morning, they went from exhibit to exhibit, taking things. So 3 hours they were there. In total, they stole 124 items, including the sacred cenote of Chichen Itza, more than 60 Mayan pieces from the temple of Palenque, gold jewelry, the mask of Camasots, aka the Zapotec bat god, which dates back to 100 BC and 200 AD.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this mask of Gamazots was found in the ruins of Monte Alban, which was one of the earliest cities of Mesoamerica.
Wow.
And in present-day Oaxaca. Precious, precious artifacts.
Yeah.
They carried these artifacts, these stolen items from their heist, into Carlos's Volkswagen sedan, and then they drove to Carlos's parents' house in the Jardines de San Mateo suburb of Mexico City. And there, they hid everything inside of a suitcase in his closet. And the robbery went undiscovered until the changing of the guards at 8 a.m. on the 25th. And then the news broke out and everyone was shook. And an intense investigation followed, which even involved Interpol, because they thought this had to do with like a ring of museum robberies around the world. But no, it was just two young students.
College students.
Yes. During the investigation, this intense investigation, they found cookie and alcohol residue on plates and glasses that belonged to the security guards.
That's all they found.
Yes, because other than that, the investigation was not going well. Like, all they could do is just like, yeah, these security guards were eating cookies and drinking instead of patrolling.
I mean, that is an important fact, I guess.
Yeah. Prosecutors detained and interrogated 9 police guards as well, but again, it led to nothing. The Association of Friends of the National Museum of Anthropology raised 50 million pesos to give out as a reward to anyone that could provide information that would lead to the recovery of the pieces. But this reward was never handed out because no one could provide anything. And then the trail went cold until 1989.
Wow.
A whole 4 years later. In 1989, Carlos's mom was cleaning his closet when she found a suitcase, opened it, and saw the stolen artifacts. She grabbed that suitcase and went straight to the museum, which if that version of events was real, it would be kind of fun, but it's not.
So that's not what happened.
No. That's it reported a lot, but that's not what happened.
That'd be crazy though. I mean, this whole time I've been wondering, I figured you would get into it, so I didn't like interrupt to ask. And I'm like, what is their motivations?
We'll get into it.
Because I thought that if their motivation was to give everything back to the original peoples, then that'd be cool. But then I'm like, well, they'd have to know about anthropology and the original peoples and where to return those items to and blah, blah, all of that, right?
Right.
And then if this version of events was true and they just kept everything in the suitcase the whole time, that's kind of like, what was the point? Just to keep the things in the suitcase?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I do know. We'll get into it.
But you'll let me know.
At this point in the notes, I don't know, and I'm not telling you. But no, that's not what happened. She didn't find the suitcase and carry it back to the museum. Because, like, in that version of events, whenever you see that reported, then in the same, like, article or whatever, you'll see people be like, well, what was the motive of the artifacts if they were all stored away and she found them years later in the closet and that's how they were caught? But to me, the actual events of how they found them, it's pretty clear that the motive was money.
Oh, I see. Of course.
To me. And before I get to that version of events, let me just add the quote from the curator of the museum from back then, Felipe Solis, who said, quote, "The value of just one of these pieces on the black market exceeded 20 million at the time. Still, the greatest damage was cultural rather than monetary. What they've stolen from us is a piece of our history, something priceless, and of an inestimable anthropological and historical value." And he would go on to say that taking these things to try and sell them doesn't make sense because they're worth so much, no one would buy them. And they're so well known, so recognizable that you can't like discreetly sell them on the black market. Immediately it would be recognized.
That makes sense.
So to him, the motive couldn't be money.
Oh, so he's like, it can't be money.
Yeah. Him and other like notable historians or like cultural commentators of the time were in agreement that it couldn't be money because of the same reasons. But
maybe they just didn't think about those things.
Right. I think it was just a plan of two dumb fucks who were like, let's take these things. So let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
So January 1989, police arrested drug trafficker Salvador Gutierrez, aka El Cabo, in Guadalajara. Look at that. Our topics are connected. In an attempt to get a shorter sentence, El Cabo confessed that he knew where the stolen museum pieces were, and he told the police about Carlos Perches.
Oh.
And he said that he met Carlos in Acapulco, because it turns out that after the robbery, Carlos, it might have been both of them, but Carlos for sure moved there to try and hide. And they both, again, it's unclear, you'll see. Anyway,
Okay.
they began to establish links with the cartel community, such as himself, El Cabo, and Jose Serrano, another drug trafficker. And these two offered to help Carlos sell the pieces in the black market. And so after this confession, the deputy prosecutor of the war on drugs, Javier Cuello Trejo, placed a wiretap on Salvador Gutierrez on his phone calls from jail. And through that wiretap, they were able to hear El Cabo and Carlos negotiate the sale of these museum artifacts.
Oh.
And so this is when they officially started to investigate Carlos. And 7 months after that was initiated, police descended into Jardines de San Mateo. And during this operation, into his house, his parents' house.
Yeah.
And during this operation, they recovered 111 of the 124 stolen artifacts.
Oh my God. And also imagine the parents didn't even know and they're like, what are you guys doing here? What?
Yeah.
Our son did what?
Wait, what? Fuck. The artifacts were wrapped in toilet paper inside of a duffel bag inside of the closet of his former closet.
You know what? Like, also, the museum has a certain way of storing these things to preserve them and all that. And all of that is obviously out the window when they were stolen and kept in wrapped in toilet paper in a duffel bag.
Yeah, exactly. And 7 of those, so 111 of the 124 were recovered in that suitcase. And so there was still some missing. Of that missing number, 7 of those were remained with Ramon, who to this day has never been found, and neither have those 7 pieces.
So Ramon has been MIA this whole time.
Yeah, he was never found.
Wow.
To this day, he's like, his whereabouts are unknown. But the pair, after the robbery, the pair exchanged 2 other pieces for cocaine, which were recovered. Those 2 pieces.
Wow.
Which is why this tells me this was all for money.
These middle-class fools really couldn't afford cocaine? That's kind of crazy to me.
Right. Well, they were from middle-class families, but these 2 were students.
I guess.
Like, I doubt their parents had extra income to give them to spend on cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Or these funds were running out, because they're not high income, they're middle income families. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they exchanged 2 for cocaine, and then there was another additional 4 pieces that were never recovered.
Wow.
Aside from the 7 that stayed with Ramon. Luckily, the most important pieces were recovered, like the Zapotec bat god, or the obsidian jar that is shaped like a monkey. Carlos was arrested, of course, and was sentenced to 22 years in prison. And he took credit as the mastermind of the heist. And to fuel the myth that a motive was never discovered, the deputy prosecutor told the media at the time that he didn't know why the young men committed this crime, because he didn't believe they could sell the stolen pieces. But clearly they were trying to, because they traded 2 for cocaine.
Just because everyone else didn't believe they could sell them doesn't mean they didn't think they could sell them, and that was not the reason.
Exactly.
They stole them in the first place.
Yeah. And while Ramon was never found, Luis Perches, Carlos's brother, was also arrested for helping him hide the pieces.
Oh, wow.
And this robbery forced the museum to implement way more strict security measures and install electronic alarms, as well as a closed circuit camera system, and increase the number of guards. It also changed the penal code of the country, where now crimes against cultural heritage were punished more severely.
Oh, wow. I never heard of that.
Right. Like,
interesting.
Yeah. And there is a 2018 movie called Museo, starring...
I was just going to say, is there a movie about this?
Yes, there is. It stars Gael Garcia Bernal. Yes. I love him. And I will add that seeing him and Diego Luna star in anything together is like...
Wait, is Diego also in it?
No, I'm just saying that seeing these 2 together in general is like, it's like art, to see it. You know? Yeah. It's like the most Mexican art ever. Like these 2.
Mexicanly.
Wait, no. Am I confusing them? Are they both in Y Tu Mamá También, or is that Pedro? Pascal. And
No, that's not Pedro Pascal. That's them
no.
too.
Okay, that's them too. Okay, I'm cutting that. No one will know that I don't know that. I haven't seen that
Wow.
movie.
Really? I've seen parts of it, but I've never seen it all.
Okay, I've seen
We should
parts of
watch
it.
Oh,
We should watch
I know
it.
you've seen parts of it.
No, I have seen parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the movie Museo does take liberties, a lot of liberties from what I've heard. I haven't seen it. It is on my watch list. It got pretty good ratings, 7.5 out of 10. Like, that's decent.
Yeah.
Let me add that Carlos was murdered shortly after his release, after his 22-year sentence. And again, Ramon was never found.
Damn.
But yeah, that was the museum heist of Mexico City.
That was interesting. Refreshing.
Wasn't it?
Because we never done a heist.
Yeah. I know there's a very famous jewelry heist of Brazil,
Oh.
but I haven't like tried to even cover it because there's so many people involved in like, this was only 2 people, and again, I can't find like more information on them. But when it comes to like more involved like heists like this, there's like a lot of people, a lot of names. It's just it seems daunting to research. But I know there's like another like jewelry heist in Brazil at least, so maybe something to add to the topic list to change things up a bit.
For sure.
But yeah. Before we go, do you have any spooky recommendations?
More like a true crime recommendation. I finally, after months of having a hold on Libby, I finally was able to listen to Virginia Roberts Giuffre memoir, Nobody's Girl. And so, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, she was one of the most outspoken survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. And so that's what her memoir is about. Also about how the abuse she experienced as a child, including sexual abuse in her childhood home, like by her father and then her father's friend, how that all of that set her up basically to become a victim of trafficking later on as a teenager. And yeah, I mean, it's just terrible. And towards the end, she kind of talks about like, none of this will change until we change basically patriarchy, right? Because the patriarchy is what allows women and children to be objectified and abused and all of that.
Exactly.
And it was hard to listen. Obviously, it's a hard topic, but also as she's writing it, and well, in some parts of the book, she talks about in some parts how there's certain men that abuse her that she wasn't ready to name because they have been like threatening before and they have threatened others and all that. So of course she was concerned for her safety and the safety of her children too. And so she talked about maybe once her children were older or once she felt safer that she would share the names of those men in the future. And so that was really hard to hear talk about the future, knowing what happened.
Yes, she died by suicide?
Or so there's like speculation because she did put out months before she died, she put out a tweet saying, and she talks about that in her book, because she did have thoughts of suicide and she acted on those thoughts during various points in her life. She was like, and then she struggled with substance use as well. And of course, anyone who had such a traumatic life and experiences can deal with those things in those ways. And so she did struggle with those things, but she tweeted months before she died, she said that she was not suicidal, that she was not thinking of ending her life, and if she died, like it wasn't by her own hand. But you know, things could change. So there's speculation out there. Of course, it's all alleged. Nothing is proven, but some people don't believe that she ended her own life.
Right.
And who knows? I mean, powerful people were wanting to see her dead. I don't want to speculate, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just sad to hear talk about that, to hear talk about the future. Like maybe in the future I'll be able to name those people. And yeah, she wasn't able to do that. Yeah, that is sad. One thing, right before she died, she had accused her husband of domestic violence, and they were like in a custody battle of the children, and he had not allowed her to see her children. So it's also like kind of hard to listen, and like obviously you can tell by her writing that she loved her children so much and she wasn't allowed to see them before she died. But also, she praises her husband throughout the book, which is fine. She doesn't have to open up about the domestic violence, but it's kind of hard, like, to know what was her experience before she died and then hear her glazing so much in the book. I can't ignore that she was a Trump supporter, but it doesn't take away from her experiences and the battle she was fighting against Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? Like,
and it really, really, her life and experiences, I think, shows us that there is no perfect victim. That's not a real thing.
Yeah.
And that's not something we should be expecting ever.
Yeah. And I mean, it's harrowing, but I feel like a must read, a must listen for sure.
I do not have a spooky recommendation. I've been despairing. I haven't been watching anything like horror movies that bring me joy. I've been watching depressing documentaries, but important documentaries. Like I've finished the Panama Deception. And yeah, other than that, I have also been reading a book about Venezuela, and then I read a different book called Drink Cultura, which is like actually I recorded a video that I haven't even edited, but about it's like a quintessential Chicano studies book for a reason. It was a very fun short read, so entertaining and important nonetheless. It was written in 1992, and it's like a mix of memoir 92. And history. But yeah, nothing spooky. I need to get back to it. So I will have an actual spooky recommendation. There's things that I'm like are on my watch list I just haven't gotten around to watching. So that watch list is long. In theaters right now, I wanted to go see No Other Choice. I don't know if it's still there, but this was like a thriller.
There's a horror comedy coming out, I forgot when, that I want to see.
There's one I want to see that's has the guy from Stranger Things, and it has to do with zombies, and it's a horror comedy.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that one.
Let's see. No Other Choice is a movie directed by Park Chan-wook. And what's the genre? Okay. Oh, comedy thriller, like a dark comedy.
Oh, I see.
Thriller, akin to like Parasite. Did you ever see Parasite?
No.
Oh my God. It's so good. So yeah, I wanted to see that, but yeah, I mean, there's so many movies coming out. What's the other one called? It has to do with like cold storage, maybe. Is that what it's called? Yes. Cold Storage.
Cold Storage?
Cold Storage comes out February 13th.
Cold?
And yeah, Cold Storage.
I thought you were saying Colt.
Oh no, Cold. It has Joe Keery, that's his name, from Stranger Things.
Oh.
Liam Neeson is in it.
Gross.
Yeah. But I believe it's written by the same people who wrote or who did Zombieland.
Oh.
It's related to Zombieland in some way. I don't remember. I think it's either directed by the same people or written by the same people. One of those two. So that's another one I want to see. But yeah, I just haven't been watching anything spooky. So yeah, that brings, I gotta stop touching my hair. It's so curly and I just want to keep.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. Anyway, I had to stop touching it. Okay, so yeah, that brings us to the end of the episode. I don't think I was going to add anything after that. Oh, our current book club. I feel like we haven't mentioned the book club. It's still a thing. We're reading. Well, we read The Possession.
We finished reading.
Yeah, we finished reading The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. So make sure you're reading it so that you can contribute to our book club discussion questions when we send them out sometime in February.
Yeah, well, I was planning to work on the notes to have them done in a couple weeks.
So yeah, maybe in a couple of weeks I'll send out actually before that I'll send out the discussion questions. So yeah, other than that, stay strong, stay united, and stay spooky.
Why are you talking like
Chris Traeger
it's
again?
been like a couple days, or I don't know, weeks. Christina keeps talking like Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec.
I don't know.
And she's doing it again.
I've been rewatching it. I can't stop. I know. I need to stop. Anyway, stay spooky. We'll catch everyone next time. Bye.
Bye.